The last ray of sunshine at the Sydney Opera House. Hi, little friends. Did you know that sometimes even the brightest smiles hide a deep feeling of missing someone? Subscribe now, because this story about Pikachu and his Persian kitten will warm your heart, or bring a little tear to your eyes. It was late afternoon in Sydney, Australia. The sky was painted orange, and there, on the steps of the amazing Sydney Opera House, were Pikachu and his best friend, a fluffy beige Persian kitten with eyes that sparkled like the sunset. They played, giggled, and ran up and down the stairs overlooking the harbor. The whole world felt magical in that moment. But Pikachu had a little secret. His sweet kitten had been sick for weeks. The vet said, this might be their last adventure together. So Pikachu brought him to the most beautiful place in the world, where the sky kisses the sea, just to see his friend smile one more time. But friends, the little kitten got very sleepy and cuddled into Pikachu's lap right there, in the golden glow of the sunset. Will he wake up? Don't forget to subscribe to find out what happens. The opera house lights began to glow, shimmering across the calm sea. Suddenly, the kitten twitched his tiny paw, and opened his eyes. He wasn't ready to leave just yet. He wanted to enjoy the magic of life with his best friend. Pikachu cried happy tears and hugged him so tight it felt like time stood still. It was like love had defeated sadness. They sat close together, watching the first star twinkle in the Australian sky. And right there, they made a promise. No matter how much time they had, every moment would become a memory full of love. Moral of the story: true love can turn even the saddest sunset into a brand new hope. Little friends, if this story touched your heart, give it a sweet little like, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment about what you would do for a special friend, and share it with someone you love. And if you can, help us with a donation so we can tell more magical stories like this one. Thank you with all our tiny hearts. The secret of the pink sky at the Sydney Opera House. Hi, little friends. Have you ever felt your heart ache, even when the sun is shining? Then subscribe now to the channel, because this story about Pikachu and the Persian kitty will touch your little heart in the sweetest way. It was a beautiful day in Sydney, Australia. The sky was pink, with clouds as soft as cotton candy. On the steps of the famous Sydney Opera House, a magical place where the sea meets music, Pikachu and his best friend, a beige Persian kitty with golden eyes, were happily taking pictures, jumping, and running, so full of energy and love. But Pikachu was worried. The little kitty had started forgetting where he left his toys. Sometimes he would just stop and stare at the horizon, as if trying to remember something. The doctor said it was a rare condition and that his memory might slowly fade away. So Pikachu made a decision. He would take him to the most beautiful place in Australia, to create a memory that would never be forgotten. They climbed to the very top of the Opera House steps, overlooking the sparkling water and little boats gliding far away. Up there, the sunset painted the sky like a farewell watercolor. The kitty, now quiet, leaned against Pikachu, and dozed off. Would he forget even his very best friend? Oh, little friend, subscribe to find out what happens next. But then, something magical happened. A performance began inside the opera house, and music floated out through the glass, filling the air with soft notes. The kitty slowly opened his eyes, and smiled. He remembered. He purred, nuzzled Pikachu gently, and whispered, "You are my favorite melody." Pikachu cried, but they were tears of joy. They stayed there, holding each other close, watching the sky turn dark, promising that even if memories faded, love would always remain. Moral of the story: true love is the one memory that never disappears. Dear little friends, if this story made you smile or cry, give it a sweet like, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment about what you do for a special friend, and share it with someone you love. And if you can, support us with a donation so we can keep sharing magical stories like this one. Thank you with all our hearts. The Last Dive, Pikachu and the Persian Cat's colorful memory at the Great Barrier Reef. Hi there, little friends. Have you ever imagined losing a very special memory of someone you love? Then go ahead and subscribe now so you can join us on this magical adventure that might tug at your little heartstrings. It was a sunny day in Australia, and Pikachu was so excited for what could be the most important trip of their lives. He was holding tightly the little paw of his best friend, the majestic beige Persian kitty, who was extra quiet that day, kind of different. His golden eyes looked far away, like he was trying to find something inside his own mind. They arrived at the Great Barrier Reef, a place under the sea that looked like a rainbow come to life. Little fish swam between the coral, dancing gently with the waves. It was a magical show from nature. The crystal clear water sparkled with sunlight like fairy dust. But Pikachu knew, this wasn't just a fun trip, it was a mission to save a memory. The Persian kitty was starting to forget. Even Pikachu. And that hurt. A lot. Let's turn this into an unforgettable moment, Pikachu whispered to himself. They went on a little boat with a glass bottom. And down below, the ocean looked just like a dream. Slow-moving turtles floated by, and the corals painted the sea with 1,000 magical colors. But still, the kitty stayed silent. Subscribe now, sweet friend, to find out what happens next in this delicate moment. Suddenly, a magical sound came from under the sea. It was a coral reef humming softly with the ocean's flow. The sound made the kitty slowly open his eyes, and he looked at Pikachu. A tiny smile spread across his face. He remembered. "Sparkles. You're my favorite ocean," he whispered. Pikachu cried, but they were happy tears. They hugged right there in the little boat, their eyes shining like the Great Barrier Reef's waters. And they promised, even if memories fade away someday, love would always find its way back. Dear little friend, if this story touched your heart, give us a gentle like, subscribe to the channel, tell us in the comments what you would do for someone special, and share this with someone you love. And if you can, help with a tiny donation so we can keep creating magical, love-filled stories just like this one. Thank you from our little hearts. Where the desert keeps the memories, Pikachu and the Persian Cat in the hidden feelings of Yola. Hi there, little friends. Have you ever imagined someone you really love, starting to forget everything, even who you are? Then make sure to subscribe now to find out what happens in this touching story, in a magical, sacred place full of memories, Uluru, in the heart of the Australian desert. It was a hot, quiet day. The sky was clear, and the golden sun made everything glow. Pikachu and his best friend, the majestic beige Persian kitten, were on a journey to a very special place, Uluru, also known as Ayers Rock, a giant rock formation in the middle of the Australian outback. It's sacred to the Anangu Aboriginal people, who believe that ancient spirits live there, and every mark on the stone tells a story from the Dreamtime, the creation of the world. Pikachu gently held the kitten's little paw as they walked slowly and quietly. The kitten looked distant, something was happening. He was forgetting. Forgetting moments, places, even the people he loved. It was as if the memories were being carried away by the desert wind. They reached the base of the huge red rock. The heat seemed to breathe out from it, and the silence made the place feel even more magical. They followed a path surrounded by dry little bushes and native desert flowers. Along the way, they saw ancient cave paintings made thousands of years ago, with symbols and drawings that told stories from long ago. Little friend, do you think it's possible to find a lost memory in such an old and sacred place? Subscribe now to see how this journey might change everything. As they gazed at the vast landscape, a strong wind blew. A cloud of red dust danced in the air, and at that very moment, something touched the kitten's heart. He looked up to the sky, then at the desert, and tears began to fall. It was as if, in the silence of Uluru, he could feel everything again, friendship, care, and love. It was a moment full of light, peace, and remembrance. Pikachu softly stepped closer, and the two of them just stayed there, not saying a word, but feeling it all. If this story touched your little heart, please leave a sweet like, subscribe, share it with someone you love, and tell us what you would do for a special friend. And if you can, support us with a donation so we can keep telling magical stories like this one. Thank you with all our hearts. Where the forest cries in silence, Pikachu, the Persian cat and the forgotten secret of Daintree. Hi, little friends. Have you ever imagined your best friend, starting to forget who you are? Then subscribe to our channel to find out what happened to Pikachu and the magnificent beige Persian cat in the oldest rainforest in the world, the Daintree Rainforest in Australia. It was a misty morning, with golden light shining through the trees. Daintree looked like an enchanted forest, full of vines, blue butterflies, rare little birds, and crystal clear waterfalls. Pikachu was excited. But the magnificent beige Persian cat walked slowly, with a distant gaze. He was starting to forget things, the games, the songs, the hugs, even Pikachu's name. His heart felt like it was turning gray, and the forest seemed to feel it too. They followed an old trail, where the roots looked like fingers coming out of the earth. They found a giant tree called Jindalba, which the Aboriginal people believe holds the memories of the world. There, Pikachu held the cat's paw and whispered, "Do you remember our swing on the moon?" But the cat just looked at the ground, and said nothing. It was heartbreaking, little friend. Subscribe now to the channel to find out what can make love shine again. Near a hidden waterfall, they saw a stone with ancient carvings. The water fell gently, as if it were crying. Then, Pikachu had an idea: sing that song they used to sing together as kittens. At first, silence. But then, a tear fell from the cat's eye. He looked up at the sky, and whispered, "I remember your hug, yellow like the sun." It felt like magic. The leaves danced, the birds sang, and the whole forest smiled. In Daintree, where everything is ancient, even sadness can become a beautiful memory. Pikachu hugged the cat with all the love in the world. And in that moment, the entire forest seemed to breathe peace. Moral of the story: when love is true, not even forgetting can erase the memories that live in the heart. Little friend, if this story made your heart beat a little stronger, leave a sweet like, subscribe, share it with someone you love, and comment, what would you do for a friend who's fading away? And if you can, support us with a donation so we can keep telling magical and love-filled stories like this one. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts. The Promise in the Snow, Pikachu and the Persian Kitty's Last Journey in the Pyrenees. Hi, little friends. Did you know that even the warmest heart can freeze from sadness? Subscribe now to find out what happened to Pikachu and the Persian Kitty in the snowy mountains of Andorra, before the last snowflake falls. It was winter in the Pyrenees, at the magical ski resort of Valnord, where the clouds kiss the mountaintops and the snow feels like cotton candy. Pikachu and his best friend, the soft beige Persian kitty, traveled there to fulfill a very special mission, to deliver a letter to a little girl who had vanished in the snow many years ago. Her name was Clara. Clara used to smile like the sun. But one day, the world froze, and she was gone. All that remained was a drawing, a wish for Christmas, and the faint sound of her giggle in the wind. On the quiet mountain, Pikachu shivered. The kitty meowed softly, eyes full of tears. They wandered through white-covered trails, looking for any sign, until they found an old sled and a single, tiny shoe. But wait! Before the silence freezes your heart, subscribe and hold on tight. Because when everything seemed lost, a little colorful bird sang, and led Pikachu and the kitty to a tiny wooden cabin. Inside was Clara. With sparkling eyes full of hope, she hugged them tightly and whispered, "You really came. I knew I was never alone." The snow kept falling, but now it felt warm. It was love. It was reunion. Moral of the story: no child should ever be forgotten. Not in the cold, not in this world. Like, comment, share, and subscribe to send this warm hug across the world. And if you can, support us with a small donation so we can keep creating magical stories that touch hearts. Because even in the coldest snow, love always finds its way. They only wanted peace. Pikachu and the Persian Cat cry at the Geghard Monastery, Armenia. Among ancient stones and quiet mountains, they felt a hug from the sky that made everyone cry with emotion. Hi, sweet little friends from my heart. Today's story might fill your eyes with sparkly tears and warm your heart with love. Have you ever been in a beautiful place, but felt so sad inside? Then hit that subscribe button now to find out why Pikachu and the Persian kitty cried in the most magical place in Armenia. Armenia is a very old country, full of stories and giant mountains that reach up and tickle the sky. And hiding gently between the rocks is the Geghard Monastery. It's so special, carved right inside the mountain, like a secret prayer castle. There are caves, old bells, and a peaceful breeze that makes you want to close your eyes and dream. That's where Pikachu and his best friend, a soft and fluffy beige Persian cat, arrived with their little tired paws. They were looking for a place full of peace, and that's when they met Anush, a tiny girl with eyes that looked like they had cried the whole world. She was sitting quietly, hugging a worn-out doll, with a little torn dress and a big silent sadness in her heart. The war took my mommy and daddy, only the sound of missing them stayed, she whispered softly. Pikachu gave her the warmest hug, and the little kitty purred in her lap, but the sadness stayed. Friends, tell us in the comments, what would you do to make her smile again? And don't forget to subscribe so you can find out what happens next. At night, the moon shone bright in the sky, and a beam of light slipped gently into the monastery. Anush knelt by the stone altar, put her tiny hands together, and made a wish filled with love. I just want to feel that my parents can hear me, up in the sky. And then, something magical happened. The wind sang a gentle lullaby, the walls whispered kindness, and everyone felt an invisible hug from above. Anush smiled. And Pikachu and the kitty? They cried with emotion, but in a sweet way, like they had finally found the answer they were looking for. Like, comment, share, and subscribe to spread this little message of love around the world. And if you can, support us with a donation so we can keep bringing stories that make you cry, but also warm your heart. Thank you, little friends. No one came. Pikachu and the Persian Cat at the Edge of Silence by Lake Savan. A heartwarming tale that will touch your soul. Hello little friends, have you ever felt that tiny chill in your heart? Then get ready, because this story is going to move you deeply. But first things first, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, okay? Because you won't believe what happens to these two little hearts by the end. It was a cold morning in Armenia, and Lake Savan looked like a giant mirror, quietly reflecting the gray, sleepy sky. There, right at the edge of the water, stood Pikachu and the little Persian cat, their eyes filled with hope. They had sent out invitations. They had waited. But no one came. They had prepared everything with love, tiny flowers, hand-drawn pictures, even chocolate cookies. Today was supposed to be a special picnic with their village friends. But the only answer they got was silence, and the wind? Oh, the wind carried it all away, even their cozy little blanket. Wait, have you subscribed yet? Because the part that truly pulls at your heart is coming now. The clouds grew heavier, and the Persian kitty started to cry. He thought no one cared anymore. Maybe we're invisible, he whispered softly. Pikachu said nothing, but his little tail was shaking. What they didn't know was that a powerful snowstorm had hit the village, blocking the road down to the lake. No one could make it. It wasn't their fault. But they didn't know that yet. Then, an old lady slowly appeared. She came gently, holding a warm blanket, a tiny lantern, and a hug so strong, it felt like it warmed the whole lake. I came as soon as I found out, my dears. I'm so sorry. And in that frozen place, they finally understood. Sometimes, the ones who need love the most are the ones we least expect, and a hug can truly change everything. So now, little friends, if this story touched your heart, give this video a big warm like, leave a sweet comment down below, share it with someone who needs love today, and if you can, support our channel so we can keep telling stories that bring tears, but also warm your heart. Thank you, little friends. Bye bye, see you in the next story. The Freezing Encounter, a Lament in the Pyrenees. Okay, little friends, prepare your hearts. Something magical and a little sad is about to happen. Have you ever wondered what happens when two very different worlds meet? Subscribe to discover the mystery that connects an electric Pikachu and a fluffy Persian kitten. Once upon a time, in the imposing Pyrenees Mountains, where snow covered everything like a soft, white blanket, lived an adventurous Pikachu. He loved sliding down the Formigal ski resort, feeling the cold wind on his face and joy in his electric heart. But joy soon turned to worry when, amidst the ice-covered pine trees, he saw something that broke his heart, a Persian kitten, with fur as white as snow, shivering from cold and all alone. Its gaze was pure sadness, a weak meow almost inaudible, lost in the icy vastness. How did it end up there, so far from a warm home? The kitten's loneliness squeezed Pikachu's heart. He knew the cold was dangerous, and the tiny creature wouldn't survive for long. But how could he help someone so different, so fragile? An idea sparkled, a tiny flash of hope amidst the sadness. He would use his energy, his power, to warm the kitten. It's a mysterious solution, isn't it? Subscribe now to find out how Pikachu managed to warm the kitten and bring the sparkle back to its eyes. Pikachu, with his shock powers, created an aura of warmth around the kitten, protecting it from the biting cold. He took it to the small town of Jaka, famous for its ancient citadel and walls that seemed to embrace history. There, under the warm lights of a shop, a big-hearted girl found them, and her little eyes shone with love. She took them home, and the kitten, now warm and safe, purred happily while Pikachu received a tight hug. That unexpected encounter, which began with so much sadness, brought a family and everlasting love. A feeling of love that warms the heart, isn't it? Little friends, this story teaches us that love and friendship can arise in the most unexpected places and in the most difficult moments. If this story touched your heart, as it touched mine, please, like, subscribe, comment, share, and consider making a donation so we can continue to share stories full of emotion and hope.